What's good, everybody? It's your brother Mad Black, the most dangerous and the most toxic black man on the internet, and I am black up in your face again with some more pro-black commentary. This was not a planned video. This was not something that I had on the schedule, but it is an important subject and something that I definitely feel needs to be talked about, especially amongst black men. So, the other day I was just perusing the internet and I saw this video where this commentator was just basically going over not necessarily a beef or whatever. I would say it's just more of like a bit of a disagreement between the comedian Corey Holcomb and the rapper slash actor David Banner. And it is the result of a comment that the actor and rapper David Banner made where he talked about himself and his business mentor, where they had a discussion where they basically just talked about the idea that, as a man, you should not do business with another man that cheats on his wife, right? And of course, Corey Holcomb heard this, and he said he has a lot of respect for David Banner. David Banner is a very authentic person, and I know this personally just because of some of the people that I know that he's dealt with. He's a very good brother. He's one of those people that, even though they're a celebrity, like, they do a lot of things, but they don't like publicize it, so a lot of people don't know like what they do. But he's like a really good guy, like just an authentic human being. So Corey, made sure to let that be known about David Banner. But then he said that he disagrees with David Banner on the idea that you should not do business with a man that is cheating on his wife. And I kind of knew what Corey was going to say that because, obviously he doesn't believe in being faithful to any woman, right? Based on not only his comedy, but his personal life. And he also, like, he brought up this weird distracting argument that basically said that it's worse to do business with a man that sleeps with a man than it is to do business with a man that sleeps with his wife. Now, I'm not going to get too much into that part of it because that's a ridiculous argument. That is, once again, a distraction and like almost like a straw man trying to lead you off the track of what the real discussion should be, and that is to stay focused on the idea that you should not do business with a man that cheats on his wife. So, I wanted to do this as to give my perspective because I saw a lot of males in that comment section who were agreeing with Corey or, just making like a lot of nonsensical comments about, you shouldn't be worried about what another man is doing in the bedroom. Basically, they were giving the typical manosphere dick police argument. Like you should not be concerned with what other men are doing in the bedroom. And I see this often in black male circles, especially when it comes to like the manosphere or the red pill mindset, because they don't want you criticizing another man for anything. Like, they feel that if another man is doing something wrong, that you should not say anything at all. You should just look past it. And I have to ask the men out there, like, how often and how long do you look past something before it becomes a problem, right? That's something that normally, that's almost like a female mindset. And that's why I feel like, that's one of the reasons I don't support the manosphere slash red pill mindset. And it's too often I see it as almost like a thieves guild or something like that. Like, it's not really a man's movement, right? Especially when it comes to black men. Like, there's no real loyalty. There's no real talk about honor, discipline, or even how a man should behave when it just comes to men in general. The basic discussion in a lot of these men's groups and red pill and manosphere is, how to deal with women and how to act or interact or react to women. It's never really about how a man should keep unto themselves. And that's the biggest problem I've always had with a lot of these men's movements. This is why I don't follow a lot of them. And even if you have a particular person like within the man's movement, like I'll use Kevin Samuels as an example. Even if you have someone like him who, at times, every once in a while, every once in a blue moon, tries to give you some sort of etiquette lesson and some sort of behavioral lesson for how men should act and interact, men usually blow past that. And the popularity that Kevin Samuels gained was from how he would slam dunk on women, like how he would argue with delusional women. Like that's the reason for his fandom. That's the reason why so many men flock to him. It had nothing to do with him criticizing men or teaching men how to act. Because if that was the case, he would not have the big male following that he had. Let's be honest about that. Because once again, within a lot of these male circles, any type of criticism is, black men especially, they reject that. They don't want any type of criticism or any type of critical thought or look into how they act and interact, whether it's with women or with each other. And I think that's a shame. It's very interesting when you have a movement, especially on social media, that preaches accountability and people taking responsibility for their actions, and then when a critical eye is put on them, they don't want any type of critical eye put there at all. They want you to go away from that. Let's bring up a distracting argument. Let's see what the women are doing. It's always a automatic deflection when it comes to that. It's always like, hey, well, these women don't do, like, we're not talking about the women, we're talking about you right now. You see what I'm saying? Like, that's why I said I can't rock with the so-called manosphere, because it doesn't teach manhood at all. And that's a sad thing. As a man, your highest principles and your highest aspirations should be of how you personally, how you're going to build yourself. It should have nothing to do with women whatsoever. Well, whatever women are doing should almost be irrelevant, because if you as a man build yourself properly, the right woman is going to come to you. You see what I'm saying? Like, you shouldn't even have to worry about having to maneuver through too much trash when it comes to the female population, because your natural aura as a man will repel those scallywags, and a real woman will reveal herself to you, right? But as a man, or within these manosphere circles, a lot of guys don't talk about that stuff. Now, when it comes to the idea of not doing business with a man that is cheating on his wife, I noticed that a lot of males in that comment section, and even now, like, there's still some of them, because I left a comment, and there are a lot of them that are still arguing with me, because I said that what David Banner and his mentor said was actually right. You probably shouldn't be doing business with a male that is cheating on his wife, right? And I noticed a lot of the males, they just did, they didn't want to hear that, because their mindset is still stuck within the bedroom and in the gutter somewhere and in their crotch area. Because their mindset is a man should be able to put his penis anywhere he wants, and no one should say anything about that. Like I said, they're still using the whole dick police argument. And that's a very childish and immature way to look at things. I'm trying to, when I talk about, you probably shouldn't do business with a man that is cheating on his wife, I'm thinking about you're dealing with a man who is essentially dishonest. And what I mean by that is, this is a man who literally stood up and took a vow before society's laws, took a vow in front of God, and said that this woman is my one and only, but basically said, to hell with that, I'm going to do what I want to do. And, when you have someone like that who you're doing business with, who's to say that he's not going to screw you over in the long run, right? Because he'll take a vow, he'll shake your hand, he'll look you in the eye and tell you that, hey, we're in this business partnership together, but at the end of the day, he's looking to screw you over, or he's double dealing behind your back, and then you wind up years later figuring out that the business is funny and he's taking your money and run somewhere else, right? And that's what the whole discussion is supposed to be about. It's not about sex. It's not about dick policing or what someone's doing in the bedroom. The discussion is supposed to be about a person having discipline, a person, having honor, a man's word actually meaning something. That's what the discussion is supposed to be about. It's supposed to be about having dignity within yourself, right? And having fortitude within yourself and to actually mean what you say and say what you mean. And your honesty and your integrity actually being strong enough to endure doing business with someone else, that you'll come through at the end of the day, that, when you go into the trenches with somebody, you're going to be able to trust them to get you to the other side. You see what I'm saying? That's what it's supposed to be about. And that's what the message is supposed to be gotten from what the mentor and what David Banner was saying. The problem is, once again, a lot of black males are not only stuck in the whole gutter sex thing and stuck in that mindset, but another big problem is a lot of us have not learned what it means to be a man of honor, to be a man of discipline. Too many of us have had the example of what a man's supposed to be set for us by people who are unworthy of that title of being a man. You might have had a father who was untrustworthy, who was never there. If you had a father that never showed up or who just wasn't there, your whole idea of loyalty and integrity already has been shattered. If you had a father that made promises to you and then just never showed up, already you have an example of a man that it's okay to break your word. It's okay to break your vows. If you had a father that was stepping out on his wife and stepping out on the family and having another family across town, you've already learned the idea that it's okay to, break your vows, because you in your mind, because just the human mind works this way, it'll do anything to rationalize a certain situation. So you'll figure, well, hell, my father had two families. My father had another woman across town. I turned out okay, so it's okay. And it really is not okay. All right. That's the thing that a lot of us are afraid to admit, that, when we see things that are wrong in our families or wrong in our father figures or in our maternal figures, we want to justify it because obviously we love them. It's hard to not love your parents, but we'll do anything to justify their behavior. So we'll say like, well, they did it and it's okay, so I can do it and it's okay. And then you wind up perpetuating a cycle that is very detrimental to you in the long run. You're starting to breed the idea that it's okay to be untrustworthy. You're breeding the idea that it's okay to not have honor and for your word to mean absolutely nothing. So you start doing that to your own children. You start saying your children are someone, your children are supposed to be beholden to you, and they're supposed to be special. You're supposed to be holding them up, and you make them promises, and then you don't keep your word to them. And you start making the cycle starts continuing. And your child, as infantile as their mind is, they still love you. But if you're breaking your word to them, you're doing them harm. And this is why in that comment I left, I said we should not be taking advice from someone like Corey Holcomb, who he at least he admits it. He comes out and admits what a terrible father he's been, or just an absentee father, having kids with different women and not really being in those child's life. He even admitted with his son that that child's stepfather is more of a father than he has been to that child. So it's like we have to understand that everyone we should not be listening to and taking advice from. Now, I'm a Corey Holcomb fan. I find him very funny. He's a very funny comedian. But I would never take manhood advice from someone like that. And obviously, I don't believe his father was there for him. So he thinks it's okay for a man to just go out and be having children and not taking care of those kids. You see what I'm saying? He thinks it's okay to be a man who screws around on his wife and just has girls on the side and whatnot and meeting up with girls in hotels. He thinks that's okay. And, if you really look at it, if you want to be honest about it, look at his relationships, not only with the women in his life, but look at his relationships with the other men in his life. Like think about all the men who have come and gone on Corey Holcomb's podcast over the years, just over the last few years, and think about how those relationships have crumbled. Do you think that he is someone of trustworthy character or someone of, honor and discipline? And the fact that he's always had these confrontations with other men, you see what I'm saying? So that right there should prove that he is not someone to listen to when it comes to this aspect. And I know once again, there are a lot of men that say, well, we shouldn't be concerned with what Corey's doing in the bedroom. We shouldn't be concerned with what Corey is doing with his spouse or his girlfriends or whatever, right? We shouldn't be concerned about that. But then if we're doing business with him or if we're working with him and, he's either always causing drama, being a drama queen, or, he can't maintain a relationship, how's that going to work out for us if we're working together with him business-wise? You see what I'm saying? So that could be a problem. That can be a big problem. And I'm telling you from my own personal experience, the men that I've known that screw around on their wife or whatever, and I've worked with, have been some of the most despicable individuals I've ever met in my life. And I know, like, there was one idiot that commented that said, like, well, how do you know if a man cheats on his wife? Once again, men like that, a lot of times they have no discipline, they have no self-control. So a lot of them reveal themselves quickly. Sometimes they'll just come out and tell you that they screw around on their wife, right? Sometimes they'll make it very obvious. Like the guy that I knew that I was working with in Atlanta, he was passing his number and getting numbers from girls at the restaurant. Like we went out to eat for lunch, and he's trying to holler at this girl at the restaurant and asking her what she's doing later. It's like he literally had a wife at home with a new baby, and he's making plans with a girl at the bar, at the restaurant. So that's what I'm saying. It's like those types of males don't have any type of self-control. So a lot of times they'll reveal themselves in ways to you. And this guy, once again, screwed me over when it came to doing business. He still owes me money, as a matter of fact. I remember it wasn't too long ago. Like I remember I had just moved into this new house, and he sent me a message talking about like a project that we had worked on or something that we had developed together, and was asking like, do I still have like some of the old files or whatever, and can we show this to so and so? And I was like, yeah, if you pay me the money you owe me, we can do that. Or I said, I'll consider it if you pay me the money that you owe me. And then like he said, oh, you right. Like he was sounding like, that scene in Paid in Full when when AZ told Cameron, you gotta put the gun away, and Cameron's like, yeah, you right, because he knew he had screwed up. That's what he was sounding like on the phone. And I was like, dude, you still owe me money. Like what are you talking about moving forward or using this project to get something else if you haven't even taken care of business in the first place? You know what I mean? Like you're the one that destroyed our former relationship. You see what I'm saying? Like you did that. You didn't pay me. You ghosted me on the phone and in emails. You did that. You see what I'm saying? And that's the type of petty behavior, childish behavior, and immature behavior that a lot of these males have with their significant other and their spouse and with women. And that's how they deal with other males as well. They think that type of stuff is okay. And it's not. It's not okay with the one that you promised your life to, the one that you say you love. It's not proper to do that with people that you work with either. Like how immature is it as a man to ghost somebody that you're supposed to be doing business with? Like why would you do that? Like that's unbecoming to me. I look at you as lower than dirt doing stuff like that, because like I said, that's very immature for a grown man to do, right? That's very. It's repulsive. As a man myself, I don't like seeing stuff like that. You're supposed to be doing business with someone and you just disappear. And I know you're still there. You just refuse to answer your phone or refuse to answer your emails. It's like, why would you do that? Unless you have like some sort of emergency, but you know what it is. We all know what it is. And we all know because we've dealt with Negroes like that. But we don't want to admit that this person is a dirtbag all around. This person probably screws around on their family, and they're untrustworthy when it comes to doing business with them as well. So that's the point I wanted to get across to you all, and trying to understand when it comes to the situation, or just the ideals that David Banner was bringing up and his mentor were bringing up. We have to understand that it's more than what's going on in the bedroom. It's not about the sex or worried about what this man is doing. It's about this person's honor and integrity. It's about this person's discipline. This person can't even, say what they mean and keep to it for a few years. They just gotta be sneaky and go underhanded and be behind somebody's back. If at least if the woman knew, or if you, I don't know, if you were in some sort of like weird polygamous relationship, that's I guess somewhat better. But even that, a lot of Negroes are immature when it comes to that as well. But when you gotta sneak around like that and you're being dishonest to this person you took a vow with, that's probably someone that you probably don't want to do business with either. Now, I understand that in this world of corporations and entrepreneur mindset, that's damn near impossible, because that type of mindset and that type of industry rewards dishonesty and scumbaggery. It rewards people who are underhanded and dirty. So I would just say, as a man, you need to be on guard when you're around people like that. I guess do business the best you can, but be careful and be wary about the people you're dealing with, and know that their handshake and their eye contact means absolutely nothing. Know that when they sign something on the dotted line, it means absolutely nothing. Okay? Know that this person is not someone you can trust. Know that this is a person that, has no honor and no discipline, and they will screw you over as soon as they can get a chance. So make sure you protect yourself as best you can. Anyway, you guys let me know how you feel about it in the comments section. I would love to hear your opinions on this. Anyway, Mad Black, and I will be back with my foot on the devil's back.